So, what are you in for? It's real estate. Someone get this man another drink. I feel you, man. I like the roguelite genre. I spent about, 400 hours on my first roguelite, Has Been Heroes, and that game got a 53% on Metacritic, so it can't be that good. I mean, the score is not important, but I was wondering, what would a agreed upon good roguelite feel like? I've seen several internet personalities play this game, and I always get my eye on this game, kind of like a small child peeping in the pet stores at the mall, being like, what if I ever got a parakeet? Well, I got it. So my mom likes to find excuses to give me stuff, and she was like, hey, it's Easter, it's a holiday, there you go. And I got this game for the Nintendo Switch. I put 70 hours into it. I originally wanted to do like a journey kind of video, almost like a blog, but I didn't want to sift through all the footage because I was recording this before I even started doing YouTube. So instead, here's a general thoughts and opinions on this game. I love this game, why I'm really excited for the sequel, and why I'm not going to beat it. I don't want to sign any blank checks. Like, if I need stream content, I'll play it again. First of all, the art style is fantastic. It's got this, you got the dark, desaturated kind of colors, but there's still color in this game. It's just not like Yoshi's Woolly World. But it has, these very dark shadows that remind you of, a comic book style. And the art does everything that it needs to. You can have these very strong-looking, bold warriors, and you have these absolutely disgusting enemies popping up. Hey look, our editor! The general story of this game is we inherited real estate. Awesome! However, our ancestor, the narrator, the guy that goes,
the light, the promise of safety.
That guy. Apparently he was digging around his manor, and the land is now corrupted because he unleashed evil. We hire adventurers to vanquish the evil while, discovering the actions of our ancestors and being mortified in the process. And as far as the adventurers that we have, well, every one of the classes is useful in some way, shape, or form. You have Crusaders, which are basically your warriors. They can hit hard, and they can hit hard twice. On occasion. It's based on the attack you pick. They can take a lot of damage as well. And as far as special moves they have a stun, they can self-heal, and a stat booster. Leopards are like Crusaders with some little differing things. They have more health and more attack than the Crusaders, but according to the wiki, they have lower accuracy. And yes, I can attest, it does happen a lot. But hey, if you boost his accuracy, well, the Highwayman took me some little bit of digging to get the best out of him. The main thing that he has that I really like is a spread shot, which just attacks the first 3 enemies with a shotgun blast. He also has a riposta, which, for the layman that doesn't understand the word riposta, that's a counter. And Aquarians suck, I'm sorry. They're like utility, but I never really use their utility, so they suck. Houndmasters are probably one of the coolest ones because they have their beast companion with them. What a good boy. And basically, they're good at any position, and the dog just basically will do a lot of the cool attacks, which involves him attacking every enemy and making them have a bleed effect and a standard bite, which produces another stronger bleed effect. When I play games, I really like dots, so I apologize, but those are the funnest ones for me. Bounty hunters are really cool too. I think I get my strongest hits out of these guys. And they also have a fun, Scorpion get over here type of thing. They have other stuff I don't really care about, but man. Axe. Done. Plague Doctor is cool. I don't use a ton of blight-based attacks. But when I need a blight-based attack, specifically against the undead that don't bleed, he comes in really handy. Grave Robbers are cool. So her melee is a pickaxe. Then from there you have a dagger that attacks characters in the middle. She also has an attack that's basically she's throwing heroin. And it does more damage to blighted enemies, so it pairs well with the Grave Robber. Bestials are your cleric. They heal, wide heal, and occultists are like cleric warlocks. The thing with occultists is that their heal ranges from 0 to 13. But here's the thing. It's rarely 0, and you have like a 50% chance for it to be better, especially if you have like extra healing capabilities. The other disadvantage to the occultist heal is that sometimes it'll make your allies bleed, but this has never happened to me super frequently to go, oh, I shouldn't use that. They also have a ton of support moves, like they can put debuffs on the enemies. They have a get over here attack that also removes the corpses of enemies, which helps bring enemies closer for my hungering crusader and leper. Arabellist, I forgot who this even was, not gonna lie. Musketeer, oh yeah! Okay, so Musketeer is basically a better Arabellist. They shoot stuff at a distance. I never really got a ton of usage out of either of these classes. Hellions are barbarian ladies. They got cool attacks. That's about it. Man-at-Arms, or... I'm talking about the class, so would it be Men-at-Arms? Yeah, we're going with that. They have pretty good melee attacks, but they have a lot of really cool support moves, like increasing dodge and other stats, as well as having their own riposta, which is actually how I found out about the riposta. I didn't even know the Highwayman even had that until I came across this guy. Jesters are great for running low levels, or if you use a certain hero a lot. The main limitation to using heroes for multiple different weeks is that they have to be unstressed. And the cool thing about Jesters is they have special moves that de-stress your allies, so they are very great with that utility. Abominations are really cool. I had a hard time figuring him out, but he goes from human to goat dragon. Both forms have different moves, and, you know, I mostly go with goat dragon. Although the main consequence of goat dragon is that when he transforms, it stresses your entire party out. But if you have a jester with you, you can just heal the stress. The flagellant was a lot of fun. So, flagellants basically have whips and they start cutting themselves and other enemies. He gives out a lot of bleed effects, like his standard attack, and he has a rain of blood, which gets back 2 enemies with bleeding. And he has a lot of strong functions based on him having low health. Like, he can either do a strong heal on him and an ally, or say to hell with it and go for an attack. That is super strong. And, like, this dude looks nuts. I love his art, in particular. And the Shield Breaker. Almost all of his moves are based on him moving positions, which is really cool in theory, but, like, it's more clumsy in practice than I anticipated. General summary of these events is based on the 4 main areas of the game. You got the Ruins, which is an old castle that is home to necromancers, because somebody brought them back to life, and, well, now the necromancers unleash the undead. The Warrens, which is a dumping ground of failed blood rituals based on pigs, because somebody did that, and now the descendants of these pigs, they run, hit, and oink. The world was corrupted, and there were these, you know, funky mushrooms and fruit and stuff that grew. The wiki does not explicitly blame it on this somebody, but I'm still blaming somebody and the Cove, which he used as a means to making pacts with ancient beings, and now the fish people have come back and they're attacking the sailors that need to transport stuff to this land that can't get it now. And you have the Darkest Dungeon, of course, you know, the 5th area, but I didn't make it that far. It's scary. The general basis of this game is that you are controlling a party of 4, and you have one character in the back, not the front, and the front. And you go out to these different areas across your real estate. We have the Warrens, the Cove, the Weld, and the Ruins. And once a week you prepare this team in the Hamlet, which is basically your hub world, and you make sure that you are not stressed, you've got good gear, you maybe remove quirks, but that's something for later. And you go out on these missions, which is based on these territories. Sometimes you're killing enemies, you're exploring areas, or retrieving items. All the while, these missions will grant you experience, gold so you can buy torches and medicine and stuff, gear to give your character stronger stats so that they can take on stronger challenges, or artifacts that will help upgrade your facility so you can have stuff like longer lasting torches, or certain classes having more special abilities, the likes. Other stuff may come up as well, but those are the main items that you get. As you're making progress through each of these territories, you'll come across boss fights, which you need to beat in order to progress the story beyond. We know the Ancestor did some very dark stuff. We get that. But like, how were those pig experiments done? I wanna know. One of the cool things about this game is that you're managing a crew of adventurers, not necessarily making the dream team. A lot of other strategy games are like, oh yeah, you could go to the store and you can outfit your team with the perfect weapons and you can give them certain spells and abilities and personality traits. And in some cases you can go, hey, this is your wife. But in this game, you don't have that. You just have what you have. This game is extremely immersive in a way that you really just can't get anywhere else. Because in a way, you're not deciding what's the best. You're trying to decide what's the least bad. And that's perfect for this game's world. See, as you go throughout this game, you just feel anxious with every step. Like, yeah, sometimes as simple as, yeah, go out and kill all the enemies, which is not even a simple task in itself. Because as your characters fight enemies, they will get stressed out. Whether that's just the events that are going on around them, or some enemies have very specific attacks that are designed to make people feel stressed out. And once they get stressed out to a scale of 100, they reach a breaking point called affliction. When they are afflicted, they go through mental states due to their stress, and they have these weird behaviors like being abusive, fearful, hopeless, etc. You know, people will pass turns, change the order in the party, or just straight up attack other characters. And that's something that you have to deal with. It makes killing enemies really complicated in some scenarios.
Ancient traps
And because of all of this, I think this game is extremely immersive in a way that you really are not going to be able to get it anywhere else. It's like, if you want to find God in a grocery store, I recommend playing this game on Switch. Part of what you have is what you have is that, like, if your guy's prone to stealing stuff, you just have to deal with it. If your guy frequently gets blackout drunk and he can't show up the next week for a mission, guess what? You gotta let him rest. You don't really have anyone else. If you have a character that pesters with items because he has OCD, but there could have not been a worse time for him to pester with stuff because you only have 2 surviving party members left, and he just activates a horde of mosquito enemies. I can just hear the conversation now. What have you done, infidel? Blood for the blood god. But, you know, you gotta deal with that too. I actually love this guy, but this is just in my head for a very, very long time. I even had one character that when he was in his affliction state, that I mentioned that they will sometimes attack allies when they're abusive and stuff. I had one guy actually kill a party member while he was in this affliction state. I was trying to find the footage for it, but I was going to use the graveyard as like a point keep tracker thing because it would say, oh, guy died because ally was attacked, and I'd be like, okay, it was that week, so I need to go to this video footage. But the graveyard is now empty. There's like 3 dudes. I can't go back and find what I need to find. It's like, oh yeah, Mr. Real Estate Owner, the memory of the dead? No, screw that. Let's have a frickin' flamingo collection instead. Don't think I have forgotten your sins, Blangy. I know you killed that man. And because I bring up all these stories, you know I'm attached to, like, all these characters and events that occur. Reynold was my prime crusader. He was the one that you get at the very beginning of the game. And he was the champion because most of the time he was a higher level than everyone else. And he hit like a freaking dump truck. And, you know, many brave warriors fell around him. Like the Highwayman died pretty early on, but he remained. He was often the defining factor between a successful mission and a not successful mission. However, I took him on one risky mission, and I had a choice. I had a Vestal on my side, and I was trying to get an extra hit out to speed things up. And I had my cleric attack instead of heal him. And the attack missed, which, well, that's just great. And, well, I got unlucky, and I still remember the pang in my chest, seeing that death blow picture. And, yeah, I kind of had this weird vision of myself being, like, at this guy's grave, and just looking down and being like, I will avenge you. I didn't play too much longer on that run, because I was like, well, Reynold was gone, so that sucked. But I started another save file. And this time around, I had the DLC, which is where the story of the Flagellant came from, because he is a DLC character. The DLC included 2 zones. First of all, the farmstead, which, it's a completely unnecessary thing. I didn't get into this mode very much, but it doesn't affect the plot very much. And you have the Crimson Court, which, oh my god, I love this mode so much. I can't tell if going through the Crimson Court DLC was a good idea or not. But we'll discuss that later. The Crimson Court works differently than your regular zones in the fact that when you have this as an option, you have a bunch of new enemies that are in the regular zones. You have mosquitoes and larvas that are now possible for you to fight and encounter. If you fight the mosquitoes, you have a chance of getting infected with the Crimson Curse, which is basically like a plague. And I like plague systems. I used to be really into World of Warcraft, and at some point during vanilla there was this curse that a boar got from a raid, and due to some weird stuff, it got onto basically every character and guard, and yeah, everyone just started dying. Everyone was super confused on what was going on, that, like, you know, this catastrophe is happening, and, you know, how do you salvage yourself and the others that remain? This, to me, is the best version of that experience I could get. Because I really was confused. Why did this guy die? I did not do my research when I played this game. I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna go for it. I don't care about the best playstyle. I don't care about the best class. And that made this a lot of fun. See, the plague will kill you if you do not soothe it. And the only way to do that is by drinking blood, which you do from clearing wine missions within the Crimson Court, or sometimes the mosquitoes will drop some. And you need to carry that with you, so that when you have characters that do have the Crimson Curse, they can drink it, and they'll be satiated for a time. You also have this weird condition, too, within the Crimson Court, is the Fanatic. He's basically a zealous paladin who is hell-bent on, you know, not really helping to, you know, cure the Crimson Curse by, you know, going to the Crimson Court and killing the characters themselves. Rather, he will be really anywhere as long as there are 2 people that have the Crimson Curse. And he will interrupt our mission, and he will kill us. I've never gotten him killed. But my first encounter with him was basically went like this. Here, take this pagan woman. Have a good day! But, yeah, this entire process was really long because the Crimson Court itself is a giant labyrinth that you need to get your character through. And you're not going to do this within 1 week. Basically, you kill enemies until you're done. Like, either you have characters die or everyone's low health, high stress, and then you leave. Then on another week you come back, you finish what you can, you leave, until you eventually get to the final boss. And this does take a while because some, you know, there are scenarios where you need to get new heroes. There are scenarios where you have to switch your party out because you have a hard time killing the Crocolith because you have a mostly melee-centered party. But after a long process, I killed the Crimson Court main guy, the Baron. And that to me was my win condition. Because once the Baron died, everyone was cured from the Crimson Curse, and I could continue as normal through, you know, the Darkest Dungeon, the primary objective that I forgot about. But the thing that I mentioned where the Crimson Curse was either a really good thing or a really bad thing, I felt like I was done with the game because I did the part that I was really focused on. It's like getting absorbed in a side quest and being done with it and then just not caring about the main game. You know, the darkest dungeon. So yeah, I played for a little while longer, like, you know, there was more parts to the Crimson Court. Like, all the mosquitoes came back, and there was like a part 2 where you had to kill someone that wasn't the Baron, but I didn't get that far. And I did grind a lot of characters out to level 6. And a lot of them died. And that was a long process in itself. I beat the Baron within week 68, and I ended up quitting the game around week 148. Somewhere around there. But yeah, I was done. I did not beat this game. However, I think I finished it. I think there's a bit of nuance when it comes to the idea of bare minimum completion. Usually you beat the game once you meet the primary objective, but different people have different levels of, I'm done with this game. And I'm ready to move on to other games.
In the pursuit of glory.
Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked it, please like, comment, subscribe. Follow social media links, and until then, I think I've got another game to play. Catch you guys on the next one, and see ya.